Hi guys, welcome back, and today we're doing the next part for if Tarble went to Earth with Goku. Now last time we left off with Goku winning the 22nd Tenka-Ichi Budōkai, and then the Turtle School stealing away Demon King Piccolo, with Tien and Chaozu joining the team as well. Now we joined a group after they've just revived Master Roshi, and a few days have gone by, with Master Roshi expressing his proudness of his students for being able to defeat the Demon King. And a few days after the group have spent a bit of time celebrating, the Sun Bros decide that they are going to head back home, start getting ready for the next tournament, asking their friends if they will also be there, with everyone in the Turtle School saying how they will be. Now, just before the pair fly off on Nimbus, Master Roshi says how they should head towards someone known as Master Korin. He lives in sort of like a big tower thing, and he says how he will help them grow stronger. Goku and Emma sort of look at each other, and then sort of just remark how they've already trained under the old cat. Shocking Roshi, he assumes that it took them the full 3 years that they had off recently to grow strong enough to, complete the training. However, they soon go on to say that it only took them a few days actually, scaring the old turtle hermit who it took years to get right. However, he shouldn't also be too surprised. He sort of expects these two to just come out with more incredible acts, and then goes over to his other students explaining how they should go do some training with him as well. Once that's all said and done, he then says goodbye to the other two members of his school, with Goku and Emma shouting bye to everyone. Now, when they arrive home, the first few weeks go pretty much like a normal life would for them, with them training, fishing, all sorts of normal stuff. However, one day something really strange does happen. Someone appears, and this person's flying on a magic carpet, and he wants to show them the world. Well, no, he doesn't. But he asked the boys if they would follow him to meet God. With the boys being very curious and confused, they agree to get on, the carpet with this guy. And not too long after, they arrive at Kami's lookout. With the two being shocked at what just happened, they get off the carpet and meet with someone known as Kami, who thanks them for all they have done recently to protect the Earth, with the two not really fully understanding what's going on right now. Kami goes on to explain how, in their last few years, they have managed to stop the Pilaf gang, who wanted to control the world. They stopped the Red Ribbon Army from destroying the world, and more recently they stopped the newly released Demon King Piccolo from taking over the world. Each time, the Dragon Balls were going to be used for evil purposes, but they stopped it. With Goku realising how much they have done that over the last few years, and Emma sort of already knowing this, gets straight to the point, asking what does he want from both of them. Kami then goes on to explain how he would love to train them to become the next protectors of Earth, even though they have already been training and growing stronger to protect the planet anyway. They can grow much stronger here with himself. Now, the two, after hearing the thought of training under someone like this, is really excited, and they pretty much go through the same training as Goku went through in canon, with the addition of Goku teaching Emma how to get over his weakness, which is his tail. And over the next 3 years, everything goes pretty much like normal, with Goku and Emma growing stronger together. Now, the next 3 years go by, and everyone's meeting up for the next Tenka-Ichi Budōkai, the 23rd of the series. And the interaction between the Sun Bros and Bulma, Roshi, launch and all of that goes pretty much like normal. However, there's a little bit of a funny moment where Bulma actually points out how Tarble hasn't really gotten any bigger over the last few years, and then points out the size difference between Goku and Enma, which gets a bit of an angry reaction out of the younger brother, because he's a bit sensitive about his size. However, not much else is said. Bulma goes on to explain how everyone should be arriving here soon, with the group waiting like normal for all of them to show up. Now, this part goes pretty much like it did in canon, and everyone shows up pretty much last minute. Now, the day of the tournament comes around, and I'm going to skip past a lot of the boring stuff, and I'll just give a few quick, information here. First of all, Kami isn't here. Piccolo is sealed away still, so nothing to worry about there. Mercenary Tao isn't a robot, and he still takes down Chaozu. And finally, Yajirobe isn't here. Yajirobe is still living out in the wilderness somewhere alone. Goku and Emma never found him, so he's just living out his peaceful life. Now, I did the next matchups for the quarterfinals and onwards, and they were all generated by a tournament generator, like my last few tournaments have been. So first up, I have Enma versus Mercenary Tao. I got Goku versus Chi-Chi quite luckily, because I love Goku and Chi-Chi, and I'll get into it a bit more. Next up I've got Tien versus Krillin, and Eita versus Yamcha. Now, with these being the matchups, let's get into the battle. Now, first up, the matchup between Enma versus Mercenary Tao isn't too difficult. First of all, Mercenary Tao doesn't have any of the advantages of being a cyborg here, and he's just a normal guy who's happened to lose against Enma years ago. And once he realises who his opponent is, Mercenary Tao does begin to panic, which is the correct thing to do here. Enma is much stronger than he was originally. Now, Mercenary Tao does try to put up a fight, however Enma soon puts Mercenary Tao in his place, meaning Enma wins, and he goes on to explain how that was for Chaozu. Chaozu still got quite heavily injured from the battle with Mercenary Tao, however it wasn't as bad as it was in canon. Next up is Goku versus Chi-Chi, which goes a lot like it did in canon, with Goku and Chi-Chi still arranging to get married. And I don't see any reason I need to change this, so let's move on. Next up is the first proper match of the tournament, which is Tien versus Krillin. This match is going to be quite close. After all, the two turtle students have been growing strong with one another over the last few years, and after their match at the 22nd Tenka-Ichi Budōkai, the two have grown a rivalry, so they have been pushing each other extra hard. So both students drop down into a fighting stance, then clashing briefly before disappearing in front of the whole audience. The only people who are even able to follow the match is Goku and Enma. The two follow the fight with ease, saying how both are quite evenly matched, and after a few seconds of clashing, the two stand opposite each other, laughing, realising that this fight is going to go pretty much how it went last time, isn't it? Both realise that they're going to need to save as much energy as possible to fight, both Goku or Enma. So the two make an arrangement. They're both going to jump up into the air, they're going to have a battle briefly in the air, and whoever wins is the winner of this match, making sure that they'll have enough energy to fight the two incredibly strong friends they have. So like that, both jump up as high as they possibly can, taking very long time to reach their peak, where they both begin to clash. Each punch is landing quite heavy, and at some point Krillin does manage to get the advantage, knocking Tien down to the ground a bit faster. He begins to charge with Kamehameha to give him a bit more airtime. However, Tien does take the advantage quickly, making the Kamehameha disappear right in front of himself, then splits himself using the multiform technique, throwing his main body upwards to try and get a bit of height advantage on Krillin. However, this advantage doesn't last too long, as Krillin grabs hold of Tien and flings him back down into the ground. Krillin is desperately trying to stay above here. Krillin then shouts out with a solar flare, which he had learnt from his friend, and then hits him straight onto the head, knocking him to the ground first, meaning Krillin came out of this match victorious, with the two laughing at the quick role reversal that happened compared to the last one, then walk out after having a quick bow with one another. Now the reason I ended this one in a weird way is because, first of all, we've had this matchup before, and at this point they're both the same strength, and it's also because I believe the two would want to be ready to fight Goku or Enma. Now, next up is Eita versus Yamcha. Now, this isn't really a fight, with Yamcha running with a quick ring out, wanting to make sure he can secure his place, in the tournament. Now, this wasn't really a match for Eita. He goes on to explain how he just wanted to say hi to Goku and Enma, who are now only just realising who Yamcha was fighting with, and they both begin to have a conversation with the droid, with 8-Man saying how Suno is also here if they want to go over and catch up quickly. Catching the boy's interest, they quickly run over, looking for her, and when they do, Enma is actually really surprised. She looks so different compared to how she used to, with Goku also expressing how he doesn't really notice too much of a difference, getting a reaction out of Eita and Enma. However, the fourth do quickly catch up, with Suno explaining how she moved to the city a year ago after visiting the tournament a few years back. She fell in love with the city and actually just wanted to spend a bit more time here. Plus, it made it a bit easier for her to, come and watch the tournament. She only came to the tournament really to catch up with these two, as she wanted to ask Enma something, but she'll wait until after the tournament, if that's okay with him. Making Enma curious, and I almost go on to bug her a little bit to learn a little bit of information, that he can. However, they soon get called back into the ring by the announcer, who's getting ready to set up for the semi-finals, with the two rushing back in, and the next match beginning shortly after. Now, the next match is Goku versus Enma, and these two are annoyed they haven't ever met each other in the finals. However, this is always how it's been for them, so they're sort of used to it. Now, they are ready to take each other out in the semi-finals, in a 1v1. And at the moment, their record is 1-1, both having lost to the other once. So they're both really determined to win. Once the match is officially begun, the two run at each other with a brief clash, then disappearing incredibly fast, with everyone scanning the arena, with the likes of Krillin and Tien only just following every few or so punches. But after that, they don't really know what's happening. The ref is really confused as well, as he doesn't know what to do. He's almost tempted to call a ring out, however, Tien and Krillin briefly shout out that they are actually still in the ring, but they're just moving too fast for you guys. They'll let them know what's happening. However, before they can even finish the sentence, both Sun Bros appear again, both heavily bruised and laughing between themselves. Goku is looking worse off than Enma, but both brothers do drop into a stance of a Kamehameha. This is the first official beam clash of the series, so this is pretty cool. Now, this is the biggest blast that has ever been produced so far by the brothers in this point in the series. This blast is making the ground shake with power, and when both let out the beams, it begins to tear up the grounds of the arena, actually knocking some audience members backwards. But as soon as they realise this is happening, both brothers actually call an end to the beam clash, explaining their apologies to everyone who got a little bit injured from that, before both starting to clash again. Now, the match doesn't go on too much longer, as the brothers are quite, tired from producing such a big Kamehameha, and Enma does come out on top afterwards. Now, I had to choose from a very close match here. Both are pretty much around the same strength. Not having any other, special skill sets, any special moves, nothing on top of the other one, if that makes sense. So I gave the victory to Enma, who has a small edge in power. Now, this means that Enma is the winner and he's going through to the finals. But Goku is happy he lost. Even though he lost, he's happy because, he didn't have to cheat this time. Now, next up is Krillin versus Yamcha. Now, I don't really want to cover this too much, as I want to get through a little bit more quickly. However, if you wanted to compare it to anything, compare it to the original battle between Goku and Krillin in the 22nd Tenka-Ichi Budōkai, both being very close. And I'm going to actually give this edge to Yamcha. Yamcha hasn't taken any damage and is feeling fine, whereas Krillin is a little roughed up and used quite a bit of energy in the battle against Tien. So this means the final match is going to be Yamcha versus Enma. Now, with all the Turtle School watching from the crowd, everyone begins to cheer them on, with Bulma cheering for Yamcha and Suno cheering for Enma, and alongside Suno, Goku and Eita are also cheering for them. Chi-Chi, who was also trying to, make good face with her future brother-in-law and her husband, she also cheers for Enma. Now, this match isn't very close, let's be real. And once Yamcha gets in the ring, he already believes he has lost, and isn't sure if there's any point of even continuing this battle. However, thanks to the cheering of all of his friends, plus Bulma, he does push through, with the bandit explaining how it's weird that these two meet up finally. It's been years since they had met, and Yamcha thanks Enma for the better life he and his brother had given him. Now, he wants to make sure that this battle is something worthy of, rivals and friends, with Enma explaining how he is happy that they met as well, and Yamcha has grown so much more than the bandit he used to be, and also dropping down into a stance, saying he's looking forward to the battle, friend. Now, this match is a good one. Near the start, it's very even, with Yamcha trying to use anything he has to put an advantage on Enma. Thanks to him learning some tricks from Tien and also some from Krillin, he's actually starting to give himself the edge. Things like the solar flare, the multi-form, some tricks that Krillin knew from the Orin Temple. He's just trying to make anything to close the difference in power. But Enma starts taking the fight seriously very fast after all of this is being shown off, and Yamcha loses, unfortunately, making Enma a two-time winner of the tournament. And it also makes him realise how happy he is he met everyone. And he's actually pretty proud of how Yamcha did. Yamcha's never made it past the quarterfinals, and the first time he does, he makes it to the finals, meaning that the bandit is actually quite heavily motivated to keep training here. Now, like I said, Enma's won 2 tournaments, meaning that both of the Sun Bros are actually quite loaded. They've won a lot of money over the years, so they haven't actually spent any of it, meaning they have a lot to spend. Now, the group head out to celebrate with the Sun Bros paying for it, obviously. Now, this isn't just to celebrate Enma's victory, it's also to celebrate Goku and Chi-Chi's marriage, with Suno and Eita joining the group, having, joined the group slowly over time. With Goku, Chi-Chi and Enma actually heading off early to, get Chi-Chi and Goku married fast. However, before they leave, Suno actually walks over to Enma and asks if it would be okay if she joined them. She has wanted to ask this for a while. The girl is very clearly nervous, and everyone other than the Sun brothers realises what is happening here. She goes on to express how she would like to spend more time with Enma, if that's okay with him. And without really thinking too much about it, Enma agrees he would love to spend more time with her as well. And this makes the girl smile as she starts to leave with the Sun family, with Eita going on to explain how he'll head back to Jingle Village anyway, wishing the girl the best of luck, saying to come and visit sometime. And like that, the group splits up again. Like normal, Chi-Chi and Goku get married very fast after the tournament. However, what happens a year later is Enma and Suno get married. The two had started dating like a few weeks after Goku and Chi-Chi's marriage, and now the Sun House with the Sun brothers have become much bigger, with the brothers putting together the money they've earned over the last 3 tournaments together to add a few more houses to the nearby area. I say a few more, I only mean one, with Enma and Suno actually living in the extra house that was built, explaining how Goku should have, Gohan's original one. And they all begin to live together quite happily, with Chi-Chi actually being a lot more happy with her life, and being a lot more mellowed out because she has, a sister-in-law she spends a lot of time with. Now, like normal, Gohan is born, and one other thing actually happened. Another member of the Sun family being born, which is the daughter of Enma and Suno, called Hisame. Now, I just want to say this is only a temporary name, unless people like it. I wanted something to be like an ice pun or a snow pun, and I'm pretty sure Hisame means ice storm, which I kind of liked. So I sort of just used it. However, if people have better ideas for her name, let me know. Please make sure it's some sort of ice pun. I would love that so much. And one more thing, I need to know, how would people feel about this character's place in the story? I wanted to consider making her a fighter originally. However, I know some people might have issues with this. After all, this is a character I've just sort of made up in my head. I don't want to give too much detail about her in case people don't want her around and I can just make her a bit of a side character. But I just wanted to ask first. After all, I don't know how people would feel about this. Like I said, I wanted to make her a fighter, but I thought it would be best to run it by everyone who watches this first. So please let me know, as I would love to do something with her. Now, back to the story. Now, like normal, 5 years goes by. And during this time, both Goku and Enma have stayed on top of training. In fact, they have been training harder, with both Goku and Enma trying to get their wives to let them train the kids. Chi-Chi is completely against the idea, but Suno isn't. However, she does explain how Hisame is a little bit too young to be starting training, asking the brothers to wait maybe a year or 2 longer. Now, the day the group decide to meet up, like normal, everyone is there, with Goku and Enma taking both their kids to, meet their friends. Now, it's much harder to fly on Nimbus with 4 people, but Goku and Enma can sort of fly at the moment, just not for too long at a time. Now, like I said, everyone is here, with the likes of Yamcha, Tien and Chaozu all being there. And the group actually are complete and utterly shocked when both their friends show up with kids. And everyone, gets to know them a little bit more and have a nice little catch up. Now, Gohan is actually a bit more outgoing here, thanks to the likes of having someone the same age as him be around. And he's still quite shy, however he is much more open to introducing himself. Whereas Hisame is complete and opposite. She's loud. Even for a toddler, she walks up and introduces herself to all of her father and uncle's friends. And Bulma instantly falls in love with the girl, wanting to, spoil her, even though that's not her kid. Now, everyone's having a nice time getting to know each other. Now, like normal, Raditz does arrive, and he does get to Kame House a bit faster thanks to the fact that there's no Piccolo to slow him down. And he is shocked when he sees that there's 2 powers which almost rival his own. Now, when he arrives at Kame House, Enma is inside the house actually doing something quickly. So the first interaction between Goku and Raditz goes much like normal, with Goku learning he's a Saiyan, actually thinking about the fact that his brother might be a Saiyan as well. Then when Enma walks out, Raditz is completely shocked. He sees another Saiyan, and everything about Enma matches up as a Saiyan. His tail, his hair, all of it, his whole body posture. And he actually starts asking some questions about the fact why there's another Saiyan here. However, he doesn't learn too much. After all, the boys don't really know they were Saiyans. He doesn't know this is Vegeta's younger brother, keep in mind. He's never met Tarble, so this is just sort of confusing to him. He also figures out that Gohan and Hisame are also the son and daughter of Goku and Tarble, and a little bit more goes by like normal. Now, Raditz, who realises that it's probably best that he checks everyone's power level before he does anything stupid, he picks up the 2 strongest power levels to be around 1000, this both being Goku and Enma, who at the moment actually held back just a bit. The likes of Tien and Krillin are following behind him with a power level of 700-ish, and Yamcha being around 600. Chaozu's trailing around about 500, 400, but he's also getting to the point where he might want to stop training. With everyone being able to hold their own if a fight was to break out, Raditz doesn't really want to be too aggressive, and like normal actually offers Goku a chance to join the Saiyan, alongside asking Enma if he would like to join. However, both refuse, and this makes Raditz nervous, realising that he's actually surrounded by good people, and he begins to panic a little bit. And when Goku and Enma push him a little bit, trying to learn a bit more about Saiyans and whatnot, Raditz completely has a nervous breakdown and shoots off 2 ki blasts towards Roshi and Bulma, and the other going towards Chaozu and Yamcha. Both Goku and Enma actually jump out, getting ready to block the attacks, quickly deflecting them, blasting them off into the ocean. However, while they were doing this, Raditz jumped over, grabbing hold of both Gohan and Hisame, and he begins to rocket off towards his ship, shouting out that if they follow him, the twerps die. Seeing this, Goku and Enma actually get so angry, shouting out for Nimbus. The Z Fighters also shouting out for Bulma to put a ship down, with everyone following them, with the airship being slower than Goku and Enma on Nimbus. We're actually picking up quite a good bit of speed and almost catching up with Raditz, who is now panicking. Both Gohan and Hisame are crying like mad, and Hisame is actually doing light jabs into Raditz, which sort of sting him weirdly, but they are just completely freaked out. He's currently trying to figure out what his best plan is to do. He's just stole 2 Saiyan kids who are the children of 2 Saiyans who are nearly as strong as him. What was his plan here? And he decides that his best idea is to get to the pod and leave the planet and come back with reinforcements, being Vegeta and Nappa. Let's take note of the fact that Saiyans can reproduce with the people of this planet, and before he can even think too much more, his scouter picks up the fact that both Goku and Enma are following behind him closely. Goku actually getting to the point where he's jumped off Nimbus and starting to actually fly to catch up, with Enma now having a bit more speed thanks to the less weight. Now, once Raditz arrives at his pod, he grabs both the kids' tails and flings them off into a different direction, telling them to shut up. And as he slowly climbs inside his ship, he makes a remark to them saying, "Now, you won't be so lucky next time. I'll be coming back with people much stronger than myself. We should be here in a year." Very nervously as he presses the button for the door to close and take off, and then he rockets off into space. Now, Goku and Enma, who are just a few seconds too late, see that his pod's already far too gone and run off over to the kids, starting to comfort them. And after a little bit of time goes by, Gohan manages to explain how he said he was coming back in a year with friends who are stronger than him. And Gohan, after saying this, begins to cry again. Hearing this, Goku and Enma realise that if he's coming back with people stronger than him as well. They probably need to get a bit stronger. He was stronger than them. Even though there was 2 of them and they could have taken him, they need to be ready. And after a short while, the rest of the team show up, with Goku and Enma giving them a quick rundown while all trying to still calm down their kids. Telling everyone that they need to go off and train with Kami, to get stronger. They'll come up and try and figure out what their plan is from there, but first they want to take Gohan and Hisame home. With the Z-Fighters understanding, they head off towards Kami, not wasting any time. Now, they already know where Kami is. They know from the fact that they did a bit of training with Korin a while back, when Roshi told Goku and Enma to do it, with Goku and Enma taking their kids back to their households. Now, I'm ending this part here, so I can have a chance to ask the question what I asked earlier. Do people want Hisame to be involved in this story at all? Now, I want to ask if everyone's okay with me including her, as I would rather, let people decide. And I just want to know now so I can actually get her into the story a bit sooner than I normally would be able to. But anyway, like I said, I hope everyone has a great day or a good night, and I'll see you next time.